Well, hello and welcome everyone to Contango ORE's live summit today, hosted by Six. I'm pleased to introduce President and CEO Rick van Nieuwenhuyse. Rick's going to walk us through a company presentation after we will be accepting questions live. So as a reminder, you can submit your questions on the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of the screen at any time during the presentation. And as always, the summit is being recorded and will be available to watch afterwards on Six.com. But without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Rick, to kick us off.
Well, thank you, Dasha, and good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll give a corporate update and then really focus on our plans for 2022. So obviously, I'm making forward-looking statements, so draw your attention to our slide and some cautionary notes on resources and reserves and non-GAAP measurements. So just quickly, we are focused on our two main projects, Manh Choh, which is development stage project, joint venture with Kinross, and our Alaska Native partner at the Tetlin Tribe, and our Lucky Shot, our 100% owned Lucky Shot mine, where we're be undergoing an exploration program this year. We have three early stage projects. I won't spend a lot of time on those. They are early stage, and we're doing work to advance those. Shamrock, Eagle, Hona, and Triple Z. But I think right now they're not really the big value drivers. Our other two projects are the big value drivers for shareholders. Just a quick update on our capital structure, 6.75 million shares outstanding. Our directors and officers have increased their shareholding of the company. So we're obviously long-term believers in what we're doing. We're about $17 million in cash as of the end of January here. We have our strategic investment made by the Alaska Future Fund. We certainly welcome them as a significant shareholder as well. I think everybody knows that we were uplisted to the NYSE American, trading under the same symbol CTGO. So just be aware of that as well. So our Manh Choh project, 1.3 million ounces of measured indicated resources, average grade 4 grams, located right along the Alaska Highway on land owned by the Alaska Tetlin Native Tribe. We formed a business partnership, as you know, with Kinross. They paid $93 million for their 70% interest. And the whole reason this thing came together was to take advantage of the Fort Knox milling facilities, which for us lowers capital costs for the project, results in a smaller environmental footprint for the project, and overall lower execution risk. We're not subject. Our capital costs are only fairly modest, and so in a time when we're seeing lots of inflationary pressures on projects, when you have inflation on say $100 to $150 million project, that's a lot different number than when you have a inflation on a $500 million to $1 billion project. So, which of course, our capital would have been a lot higher if we decided to build our own project with tailings and milling facilities on site. So I think these all result in a much lower execution risk project for our shareholders. View of the site here, it's a pretty easy place for mining. We're on top of a big hill, basically. The road here connects to the Tetlin Road. This is the road to the mine site. This road connects to the Tetlin Road, which is only about 5 miles away from the highway. We completed a $19 million program into 2021 last year. That program really supported completion of a feasibility study and getting the permitting underway. We recently approved a $48 million budget for this year, with $28 million going towards construction. Complete the feasibility study, get the project permitted, and get everything lined up for production in 2024. And of course, with some ongoing exploration that will take place as well. This is slide shows our guidance on anticipated economics. This was issued by Kinross, I think in July of last year. Still looking at over 1 million ounces of gold production over a 4 to 5 year period. on average producing about 220,000 ounces for the project, and our 30% would be, again, on average, about 66,000 ounces. We will use an elevated cutoff grade and focus on sending material of about 6 grams to the Fort Knox mill. So this will be what will be loaded on the trucks from the Manh Choh site. Kinross's guidance on capital, 105 to 130. And this is really to take into consideration the inflationary pressures that we're all seeing in the business and in our own lives. So I'm going to use the $130 million as our base case in terms of our percentage of that. So it'll be in the neighborhood of $45 million of our expected expenditures. Operating cost, Kinross is still guiding towards $750. Obviously, this will be updated with the feasibility study, but we'll right now that's the guidance that we're going with. Lots of community meetings going on. Whenever you start permitting a project, you're engaging with the communities. Of course, we engage a lot with the Tetlin Tribal Council itself, but we've also had meetings with, and I say we here, I'm using the royal we at Kinross, is leading the charge here. They're conducting the meetings. We just had one the other day here in Fairbanks, but all the communities along the road route are being met with and taking note of concerns from the local community. Here's a slide that shows it's done by McKinley Research. It's a socioeconomic research firm here in Alaska that's commonly used. The project will provide about 280 new construction jobs, 400 to 600 direct mining and trucking jobs, and obviously it fluctuates over the mine life. And those are direct jobs, so there's usually a 2x factor in indirect and induced jobs. Average job pays close to $130,000 a year. It'll be the largest employer in the area outside of Fairbanks. In the region. Over the course of the mine life, expected to purchase about $425 million worth of goods and services locally, and obviously the native village of Tetlin will earn royalties. A new cell tower to support the mine operation will long-term benefit the local communities, and obviously there will be the joint venture will continue to donate dollars for the local community for training, education, scholarships, etc. So overall, some significant benefits to Alaska, but specifically to the region around the project. The Manh Choh site is located in the hills just off the corner of the slide here, behind the bushes there. This is the Alaska Highway. The gravel road there is the road to the Tetlin village. That's the road that'll be upgraded once we have the 404 permit, which is that process is underway. So 250 miles up to the mill at Fort Knox. And of course, Fort Knox has been operating for 25 years. They are actually celebrating their 25th year anniversary this year. So the mill's well-founded. It's been proven, has a proven track record of operation, as does the tailings facility. So don't anticipate any significant mill startup issues. Obviously, we'll work on how to process the Manh Choh ore through the mill. That's basically what will be in the feasibility study that we'll publish later this year. I mentioned the $19 million program. Basically completed everything to put together the feasibility study, metallurgy, hydrology, geotechnical, in-pit geotechnical studies for the placement of all the facilities. And again, we're not building much here. It's a pretty small footprint site, 2 pits, 2 waste dump areas. We'll backfill the north pit with waste rock from the main pit. Feasibility study I mentioned due in probably early in the second half of the year, with construction starting this summer, and it's a $28 million construction plan for this summer. mostly in terms of building a camp, both for construction and during operation of the mine, and then roads and laydown areas to support the mining activities. On site, we're really only building a truck shop and the mine offices themselves. So again, not a lot of construction going on site here. Look at ramping up production in the second half of 23 with full production plan for 2024. A lot of exploration potential here. I think I've mentioned this several times. We have a huge acreage of land under lease from the Tetlin Tribe, along with some adjacent state mining claims. This slide here with the anomalous gold and soil geochemistry represents less than 5% of the total land package, so lots and lots of exploration to do here. We only have a modest exploration program planned for, excuse me, for 2022, about $3 million. And again, we'll be looking at things that are immediately adjacent to the two known deposits at North Manh Choh and Main Manh Choh. So we're not venturing too far afield here. We're really just looking for add-on ounces. And obviously, the main focus is to get the feasibility study done and get the project built. But we will have some modest exploration going on, as we did this last year in 2021, a little bit larger budget planned for 2022 at $3 million. So while Kinross leads the charge here on getting Manh Choh feasibility study done, get the permitting done, start construction this summer with, again, the plan to be in production by 2024, while Kinross is doing all the heavy lifting on that project, we'll be working on our 100% owned projects, and I'll just outline them quickly here. You can see in yellow, the Manh Choh, the Tetlin lease outlined there in yellow. You can see it's a substantial amount of land associated with that package of or that joint venture area. We have our Eagle Hona project immediately to the northwest, our Triple Z project to the north, where we're waiting for permits from the state of Alaska from a land transfer that needs to happen between the federal and state government before they can actually issue our permits. So stand by on that one. On the Shamrock, we'll have an exploration program this summer, and the main one I want to talk to you about is Lucky Shot and our plans there. So Lucky Shot, as we've talked about before, was a high-grade quartz vein mine operated from 1919 up until 1942 when the War Act shut everything, all non-essential mining down. They mined quartz and free gold at this project. Very, very simple gravity circuit to recover the gold. They had it in excess of 80% recovery with just a simple gravity circuit when it was operated back in the 1920s to 1940. This district produced about over 600,000 ounces of gold between 1 and 2 ounces per ton, 30 to 60 grams. The Lucky Shot mine itself produced 250,000 ounces at 1.5 ounces, 1.6 ounces per ton, and which is about 40 grams per ton. So there's additional production at Coleman and War Baby. At the Coleman, another junior company in the 2004 to 2009 time period drilled out a resource over there, a little over 200,000 tons at 18 grams per ton for 120,000 ounces. So that's now included in our land package. Our focus is really going to be on the Lucky Shot mine itself and drilling down dip from the historic 250,000 ounces of historic production. We've increased the land package to about 17,000 acres. There's patented lands right around the Lucky Shot area there, and over at the to the east, over at the gold bullion. Otherwise, it's all state mining claims, and as I said, we've expanded our land package to about 17,000 acres, which is 2/3, a little over 2/3 of the historic Willow Mining District area. Another project, Lucky Shot, like our other projects, Lucky Shot is on the road system. We're kind of in the area of Palmer, Wasilla, and Willow. This is about an hour away from Anchorage, so great infrastructure. But we think this is a key to being able to acquire projects and advance them quickly and get it with an aim to getting them into production. Very simple geology at the Willow project. It's a large granodiorite batholith that hosts a series of quartz veins at different levels. Historically, again, these things ran 1 to 2 ounces per ton in grade. There were 30 mines that were active. We're going to focus on the Coleman, Lucky Shot, and War Baby area initially, and then kind of venture out from there as we understand the geology better. We hired the ex-Pogo mine manager, Chris Kennedy, to head our Lucky Shot program, and he's got things well in hand and well underway already. I mentioned the drilling over at the Coleman. Most of it was at the Coleman. There was some little bit of drilling at the Lucky Shot and War Baby. This is just an example of the kind of results that you'd expect to intersect with high-grade, coarse-free gold. You can see you're seeing values of 7 grams per ton up to over 1,000 grams per ton, and this is fairly typical for these high-grade quartz vein systems, which means you have to do a lot of drilling and take a really good sample, as large a sample as you can. So that is our plan when we get underway here. We've done some drone work to give us really good topographic control. This was undertaken in the late fall. We just started to have the snow on the ground, but we now have detailed maps over the main mine area. This map shows the historic underground workings off of the Lucky Shot level at it, which was kind of on the side of the hill, about a third of the way up the hill. You can see that spaghetti area there. This is the historic mining where the 250,000 ounces at 40 grams per ton came from. The in-search level at is what we're going to refurbish and get further underneath the ore body to drill it out. And we've got our mine contractor on site. We've done a drone survey of the underground, so we know what to expect. Again, we have a detailed survey of the underground, and we know exactly what to expect, and our mine contractor's been through this, so we've got a great idea of how to get going and how to get started here. The equipment's on site right now. We've been building a snow shed that's just about 100% complete now. This is a requirement of Manh Choh whenever you're working in a heavy snow area, which we of course are here in Alaska. And this is just sort of like an Arctic entryway to your mine. Just makes it a bit safer. So as I said, our mine contractor is on site. This is the in-search tunnel level here. You can see we're Lucky Shot here, and the yellow is the historic underground workings. We're going to refurbish the first 1,500 feet of this at it and scale it out to a 10 by 12 size, so it's the right size for our anticipated purposes for when we get to mining. And then we're going to extend it another 700 to 800 feet into the footwall zone, and then put a drift in parallel to the vein with drill stations. You can see that here on kind of shown schematically on the cross section, the existing tunnel, 700 to 800 feet of additional tunnel, and then we'll drill it off. That's stage one. Stage two, we'll drift further in through the vein and set up drill stations in the hanging wall. While we go through the vein, of course, we can test mine it and we can bulk sample it and gather a lot of information on what the vein, how it actually will be mined. Again, we'll focus on the Lucky Shot, Coleman, and War Baby area to start with, but historically this district has a whole series of quartz veins at different levels. Some are above us structurally, some are below us structurally, so we'll be, in our exploration efforts, we'll be looking for things that are beyond just the Lucky Shot vein itself. We've got a whole district here to work with. That's the third largest gold producing district in the state of Alaska. So pretty significant land holdings. We will continue to work and advance our early stage projects, Eagle-Hona, Triple Z, and Shamrock. And we'll look forward to updating you on those results as they become significant. Key takeaways, our flagship project is Manh Choh, 1.3 million ounces. Kinross paid $93 million for their interest, their 70% interest. They're keen to make this project work and get it into production as quickly as possible. We spent $19 million in 2021. Our budget for 2022 is $48 million, including construction in 2022. Should be ramping up in the end of 2023 for full production in 2024. We believe this plan is a low execution risk plan. We're not building a mill. We're not building a tailings facility. We're simply trucking the ore to an established mill that's been operating for 25 years at Fort Knox. Our share of production is anticipated on average to be 66,000 ounces of gold over a 4 to 5 year period of time. 750 all-in sustaining costs, and that today gives you over $1,000 margin. I do caution always that if the price of diesel fuel goes up, our costs will go up because obviously trucking the ore up to the Fort Knox mill is a significant portion of the costs. But I also say that if we're seeing inflationary pressures in oil, we also typically see the gold price move up as a standard hedge against inflation. So I think our $1,000 margin is relatively safe. Lucky Shot provides an excellent opportunity for growth. And of course, we've got a successful track record. We know how to do business here in Alaska. So I will stop there and we'll open it up for questions. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much, Rick. So obviously there was a lot accomplished in 2021. Can you just give us an overview of everything that you, Contango ORE, did?
Yeah, so 2021 was a busy year. We completed the $19 million program, slightly under budget. This was at Manh Choh. This is the joint venture budget. So that was a successful year in doing a lot of infill drilling at the project, all in support of completing a feasibility study, along with your typical metallurgy, geotechnical studies, and getting the permit document put together. So that was another major achievement. It was announced just before the end of the year, so people may have missed it, but that's why we put it out in the highlights as well. It is a major accomplishment to get a 404 permit put together for the Corps of Engineers. So really, hats off to the Kinross team for getting that done. It was one of the joint venture objectives for the year. So the Corps of Engineers has put that document out for public comment. I believe it's a 30-day comment period. So that process is all now formally underway. So again, Manh Choh is I think we accomplished everything that the joint venture set out to do with the $19 million and set ourselves up really well for expenditures this year. At Lucky Shot, of course, we acquired Lucky Shot, and I think makes for a significant second property for the company, one that we own 100% of, and we're in control of our own destiny there. So that's always kind of nice. We hired Chris Kennedy, which I think is a real coup. He operated the Pogo mine for, I think, close to 9 years, and when it transitioned between when Sumitomo sold their interest to Northern Star, he stayed with Sumitomo for a year, but then got itchy feet. He likes being underground and likes managing projects. So we were very, very fortunate to get him on side. And of course, he's wasted no time in getting our mine contractor Atkinson engaged in the snow shed built got underway just before the holidays, and we're waiting now for all the rest of the equipment to arrive. It should arrive later this week, and we are in a position to start underground refurbishment at Lucky Shot starting in a week or so. Actually, we're already sort of starting it now, but not with all the equipment. Hopefully, in a week, all the rest of the equipment's up. And so those are the two big accomplishments. I think the third one probably is just getting ourselves listed on the NYC American. I think we'll get a lot more exposure to investors there, a broader group of investors, both institutional and retail. So that was also one of our objectives for 2021.
Absolutely, well, that's great. And looking to 2022, what are your plans?
Well, spend the again, the Manh Choh joint venture spend the $48 million, complete the feasibility, substantially complete permitting. Permitting is one of those things that you're always kind of doing. So you never ever finish permitting. Even when you're in operation, you always need new permits. So it's a bit of a process, but complete the permitting to the point where we can finish all the construction efforts that we need to do. We'll, of course, get started on construction this year. $28 million dedicated to construction projects, the camp, roads, laydown areas, getting everything lined up for the main construction period, which will be in 2023, with ramp up in probably the last quarter of 2023 and lining ourselves up for full production in 2024. So that's what's happening with Manh Choh. With Lucky Shot, we should be in a position to start drilling in July. So we've got the mine contractor Atkinson on site. They're just waiting for the end of their last part of the shipment of their equipment, which is I think the drills and the scoop. So once those are up on site, we'll be heading underground and refurbishing the underground, extending the underground, and then drifting parallel to the vein. That should be done, and we should be able to start drilling in July of this year. So probably about a 3-4 month drilling program lined up there. And our objective is to outline between 500,000 and 1 million ounces of gold over the next 2 to 3 years. So that's it's an exploration project. I know we're mining because we're doing this exploration program from underground, but we're not processing at this point. This is still exploration.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much. Robert has a question here. He's asking, what is the trucking distance to the Fort Knox mill?
So it's 250 miles from the Manh Choh site down to the Alaska Highway, up the Alaska Highway, and to the Fort Knox mill, and through Fairbanks, which is the largest community that the truck route would travel. We actually kind of go around Fairbanks. There's a series of I'll call them highways. They're 2 and 3 lane paved roads that kind of go around Fairbanks. So we're not driving the trucks sort of right through the town of Fairbanks. They kind of do an end run around the town, the highway was set up for hauling, for truck haulage. There's no limitation in terms of how many trucks. This will represent on average about a 5 to 10% increase in the truck traffic. There are no permits that are required for this. Your trucks just have to meet the highway standards. So you can't overload the trucks. You have to have the appropriate drivers for the trucks. And obviously, a lot of safety precautions are going to be put in place by Kinross. Again, big company that brings a lot of systems, if you will, to their operations. So these trucks are going to be outfitted with the latest technologies to monitor speed controls and to monitor driver fatigue. These are all things that are going to be put in place to ensure that the highest safety standards and highest safety factors are met.
Great, thank you. Chris is wondering, what is the anticipated duration for the trucking scenario?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, but it's the 4 to 5 year mine life. Obviously, we'll have a stockpile of ores at Manh Choh, and we'll have a stockpile of ore at Fort Knox. Probably immediately in front of the mill facility there. So, so I'm not sure. You're talking about how many trucks? The number of trucks varies between about 40 some odd and about double that. 90. 45 and 90, something like that.
Yeah, he sent another question, so maybe this will clarify, or maybe this is another question, but will the mill segregate Peak's ore, or how will that work, is what he asked.
Still working on that. That'll be in the feasibility study. There are really kind of 2 options here, blending and batching. Batching would be running the mills sort of separate for Manh Choh ores. Still a lot of, that'll be really in the feasibility study. So look for a final answer on that, hopefully sometime after mid-year.
Great. So Samantha's asking, do you anticipate any delays this year because of the COVID situation in Alaska?
Yeah, that's a good question. We didn't see any significant delays last year, and I'm not anticipating any this year. The state is pretty much open up. There are no mandates currently in place. People wear masks at their discretion, but there's not, restaurants are open, businesses are open. So I don't anticipate any significant delays due to COVID.
Great. Tom is wondering, how does copper figure into the portfolio mix given your history in Alaska?
That's a great question, and that's certainly one we're thinking about sort of strategically long term. Right now, the only copper-centric asset we have is Triple Z. It's a copper porphyry with significant gold and silver attributes. So the other prospects, Shamrock and Nieuwenhuyse and Lucky Shot, of course, are all gold focused. We don't have any anticipation of finding significant copper at those other ones. And of course, at Triple Z, we've been waiting for this land transfer between the federal government and the state government to take place. Excuse me. One of the things that we did accomplish last year, or I should say, the state accomplished last year, was completing a new land survey over the area. All the survey markers have been destroyed by the fire that had taken place a number of years ago. So they had to reestablish survey control in there. So that was done last summer. That should be a sort of a final technical step for the land transfer between the federal and the state government. So once that's done, then the state can issue us a permit to go drilling. So and if we get the permit, we'll certainly plan to drill a few holes. Now this summer, I'm not worried about COVID so much, but I am worried about the availability of drill rigs and drillers. We're seeing shortages of that across our industry. So that would be my main worry, is we don't the timing of things, say for Triple Z, for drilling Triple Z. If we want to drill Triple Z, we really ought to know by late spring if we're going to drill it or not, because we've got to line up drills and drillers and supplies and everything. And in Alaska, if you don't do that by April, you're way behind the eight ball. So that'd be my sort of caveat with Triple Z. Note that we don't have any of those issues. I think for the other projects, I think we're pretty well lined up for what we need to be doing at Manh Choh, and also what we need to be doing at Lucky Shot. And Hona Eagle and Shamrock are basically boots on the ground geology. So we can always accomplish that.
Got it. Thank you. Tom's actually asking about Manh Choh. Are there any other juniors doing GV production of gold along the lines of the Contango strategy?
I'm not aware of any. I think the typical junior model is to find something and sell it to a major. So outside of that general thing, there's certainly other companies working in interior Alaska, probably 3 or 4, right in and around our projects, and around Triple Z and Shamrock and Nieuwenhuyse. There's certainly other groups working on native land there, the Doyon Regional Corporation land, around Fairbanks, around the 40-mile district. So yeah, there's lots of other juniors exploring in the region. So we kind of keep track of our neighbors.
Great, absolutely. Nancy is asking, do you believe that the world has reached peak gold at this time? Because she's read that there are about 50,000 tons left to be mined globally.
Yeah, that's always always an interesting discussion. I don't believe in peak anything in a general sense, and I sort of think about things in maybe my lifetime and a bit beyond. But I think certainly I would say that just like oil, all the cheap oil is pretty much gone, and like peak oil the next layer of oil is getting more expensive because it's in more remote locations, or it's deeper, it needs to be pressurized, and all those reasons. We're seeing the same kind of thing affect gold. Most of the superficial gold deposits have been mined, have been found, have been mined. Again, except maybe Peak in the Manh Choh deposit. But there certainly is a tendency for the new discoveries to be deeper, to be refractory, to be more complicated, to be in more funky places. So I think in that concept, there is the gold prices are likely to go up because it'll cost more to actually produce gold on a worldwide global basis. So that's my expectation, and I think that's really the sort of the effect of the concept of a peak commodity level, whether it be gold or oil or something else.
Thank you. Robert's asking, what sort of dilution do you anticipate when mining UG at Lucky Shot, given the narrow widths? And can you estimate mining widths yet?
Short answer is no. Not with any sort of precision, based on the historic mining and also based on the drilling results. It's more of a vein zone. So you've got maybe a narrow half-meter wide vein, half-meter of barren or low-grade material, and then another high-grade vein. So there's 3 or 4 sort of vein sets in the overall zone that is up to 5 meters wide. So the range of the vein zone is between 1 meter and 5 meters. But you do bring up an important point that is worth mentioning, and that is ore sorting. If you've got a vein zone that's sort of 50% quartz veins that's got the gold in it, and 50% host rock, the granodiorite in this case, that doesn't have any gold in it, ore sorting is a technology that there's new application of an old technology, because they used to sort this stuff by hand, right? Say, okay, that's a quartz vein that's going in the bin. The granodiorite's going in the waste pile. We can do that a lot more efficiently now with ore sorters, particle sorters. And that is something that we will definitely be taking a look at, because obviously the fewer tons with more gold per ton that you can run through the mill, the more efficient and lower cost you'll be. So it's a good point to raise, and it's definitely something we'll be looking at.
Thank you. And last question here is from James. He's asking, any comment on assaying difficulties, if any, and relative timing on the results?
Yeah, I think this is at least a North American issue. I think the Australians are getting the results a little quicker, but yeah, results are slow, no question about it. I think, again, nice having a big brother partner like Kinross at Manh Choh. Because of their volume, their stuff tends to get analyzed first, even though the labs will swear to God that never happens. But we all know it does. So now, Lucky Shot, we're going to take a little different approach. So on Manh Choh, I think we're in good shape for getting results in a timely manner. On Lucky Shot, we're looking at taking a large sample there and doing a screen fire assay, which we're not sure on how long that's going to take, and so that's something we'll have to take a hard look at. We'll have when we're drilling, it'll be sort of fast and furious. We'll have 2 rigs, and they're relatively short holes. So we're not drilling these big long holes, so we should have lots of sample in a relatively short period of time. So we'll kind of muscle our way into the queue and hopefully get those done in a timely manner.
Great. Well, it sounds like a very exciting 2022. Thank you so much, Rick, for your presentation and taking us through the Q&A. And thank you, everyone who joined us today and asked all these great questions. If you do have another question following the summit, feel free to reach out directly to Contango ORE. Here, their contact is on the slide. And of course, you can find more information at their website, contangoore.com. But before we close out, I'll pass it back to you, Rick, if you have any final words.
Thanks, Dasha. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. If you've got questions, as Tasha says, just either if you've got my email contact, just email me or send them into the info at contangoore.com. And stay safe.